What is up, everybody? My name is Kevin Jackwitz. This is the Kaged Review, and I'm going to review the WWE Super Show-Down, and this is for October 6th, 2018. It actually happened at like 5 o'clock this morning, so I wasn't even up yet. I watched that on the network, and here we are. So, they start out with a really cool fireworks display, and right after that, the first match is Cesaro and Sheamus versus Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston of the New Day. And it was a decent match. I really like all four of these guys. Cesaro and Sheamus are really good for brawlers, and Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods obviously hopping around the ring, high-flying. So you get a good mixture, but I honestly don't know that this is the match that I would have started this kind of pay-per-view with, because you're in another country, you've got a huge crowd, you've got a huge audience all around the world. And I would think that you would want to start with something either amazingly high-flying, fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, or something with a good storyline to get people involved. And I think that this was a good match, but it would have been like a good match for like Raw or SmackDown, not for this kind of pay-per-view with 70,000 plus people. So, like I said, good match, not great. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods win the belts back for the New Day, and that was it. So, honestly, it was there, it was cool, but it wasn't like a really big standout. And that's where I kind of stand with that first opening match. I think they might have wanted to open up with something different. Now, for the rest of this card, I gotta say that I wasn't exactly sure what the entire lineup was. I knew Triple H was taking on The Undertaker, and I knew The Shield was taking on Strowman, McIntyre, and Ziggler. But I didn't know the full line, so I didn't know exactly what all I was getting into. One match I did know for sure. The next match, Charlotte Flair is taking on Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And it was a good match. There was really no spots where anybody was out of place or no big fumbles or anything. And I think like these two are really coming to their own in their new positions. Becky Lynch is a heel, has really taken on the role and run with it and doing a great job. And even though she's getting like massive babyface reactions, she's doing her role very well. So Becky Lynch starts working on Charlotte Flair's arm. Charlotte's selling it very well. Eventually it kind of flips, and then Charlotte Flair starts working on Becky Lynch's leg later in the match. Becky's selling it very well. And it really comes down to Becky Lynch is put into the figure four, and there was a spot where Becky had went outside, grabbed her belt, and was just going to walk away. Charlotte Flair cut her off. And the belt was in the ring, so while Charlotte Flair is trying to put up the figure eight, Becky Lynch takes the belt and smacks her with it a couple of times to break up the figure eight. Referee calls for the disqualification, and Charlotte Flair wins, but Becky keeps the belt and keeps her heel persona. So it was fine. It was good. Then you start with an Elias Kevin Owens promo, and they are doing, the basic heel routine, talking about the city and stuff. And Kevin Owens is very, very, very good at promos. And I like Elias. And I think Elias, if he pays attention to Kevin, can get just as good. Kevin is just really, really solid on promos. Of course, they get cut off in their promo by Bobby Lashley's music. And it's Owens and Elias versus Bobby Lashley and returning John Cena. And John Cena, he's working on a movie with Jackie Chan right now, so he's got his hair growing out a little bit. And it's so funny because it reminded me so much of JBL, like with the haircut. Oh my god. Really, like look at some of the older JBL wrestling and then take a look at John Cena in this match. Just nails it. So, there was a little bit of back and forth with Bobby Lashley and Elias, and then Bobby Lashley and Kevin Owens, back and forth, and then finally, John Cena gets the hot tag, and he comes in, and he's throwing everybody around. And it was kind of funny because John Cena, he, I can't remember if it was Elias or Kevin Owens. I think it was Elias, where he finally hits the attitude adjustment, and then he adds this, like, sixth move of doom. They literally called it that while they were calling the match. And it was just this, like, weird thing where John Cena does this and, like, punches him. So it was cool. It was fine. It was comedy. It was, everything you would come to expect. And John Cena does his usual promo bit after the match. saying, I don't know what my future holds. You guys see what I'm doing, basically. But I'm here now, and I'm loving it, so whatever. After that, you get the Iconics. They do a very short promo as they're walking to the ring, and then you have Asuka and Naomi versus the Iconics, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. I have been very outspoken about the Iconics. I don't like them. I don't like the promo work that they do. I don't like the irritation gimmick. I've always said that cheap irritation is not entertaining to me. It's just annoyance. And I will say for this match, like, honestly, I'm not a big fan of them in the ring either, but this was a decent match. It wasn't great. It was a decent match by both teams. Both teams had some cool tag team stuff going on. I didn't like the finish. They actually made the Iconics look very strong over Asuka and Naomi, and gave them a solid win, and I think that's ridiculous. Asuka and Naomi are far superior athletes and way better in the ring. I don't know, man. I don't care where they're at. I understand it's Australia and they're trying to give the crowd their hometown favorites. And that works, and I understand that WWE is that. I'm just not a fan of them. So Iconics pick up the win, and there you go. Next match is AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. This has been built up. Samoa Joe, making things very personal with the family and the storyline. And, you expect to have a match like this after all of that feel like a fight. And there were a lot of ways that it did. It really felt like an actual fight at times. Actually, AJ Styles had his mouth busted open. He's bleeding pretty good. And so it was actually kind of nice to have a little bit of color in the match because, this is supposed to be really aggressive. And these guys sold it very well. It was one of my favorite matches of the night, and it's exactly what you would expect it to be. And I've said before, for Samoa Joe to be 39 and AJ Styles to be 41 and pulling off matches that are better than most of the roster that are half their age, it really says something about these two. They are just really, absolutely, truly, not to play on the words here, but they are phenomenal. They really are. So AJ Styles went to work on Samoa Joe's leg throughout the match and finally catches him in the calf crusher. Samoa Joe taps out. After that, you have Nikki and Brie Bella with Ronda Rousey versus the Riot Squad. Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan. And decent match for what it was. Nothing spectacular. It did have some cool moments, so I will say it was a good match in a lot of ways. Way number one that it was a good match. Liv Morgan gets tagged in while Brie Bella's in the ring. Ruby Riott's holding Brie, and then they play on the fact that, Brie Bella had kicked her, and Liv Morgan kicks Brie, makes it try to look like she's really nailing her with it. So it was cool that they did that. Ronda Rousey doesn't come in toward the end, and she gets the hot tag and just clears house. And there was a really cool moment where it looked like Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan were going to try to team up on Ronda Rousey and take care of her. But of course, Ronda Rousey, being Ronda Rousey, the ultimate badass, the actual judo champion, after throwing everybody around the ring with these judo throws, gets these two, flips them, and puts like a double armbar, and they both tap out. It was a really cool ending. Made Ronda Rousey look very strong. It's kind of what they should be doing with Ronda Rousey. So there were things that I did like about that match. After that, possibly the match of the night, ironically, is Buddy Murphy versus Cedric Alexander. It's the Cruiserweight Championship. And Buddy Murphy, he's from Australia. He's from Melbourne, Australia, so he's in his hometown. And the match was just non-stop beginning to end, high-flying, high-impact, a lot of really cool stuff. And at the end, Buddy Murphy gets the win and wins the Cruiserweight Championship. And the crowd reaction, being that they're, in Australia and it's their hometown boy, really sold it. Really did. So I was happy with that. And afterwards, you get The Shield, Reigns, Rollins, Ambrose. They take on Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, and Dolph Ziggler. Really cool spots throughout this match. It was a good match. And honestly, one of the highlights of this match for me, there was a spot where Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre get tagged in to face each other. And for a few minutes there, they were going head-to-head, and it was actually a very good match. And, you know, people get really hard on Roman Reigns because he's not the best at promos, and I agree he's not the best at promos, but one of the things about Roman Reigns is that he can carry a very entertaining match at times. And he really carried his weight in this match, I have to say. I've never seen a Shield match that I didn't enjoy, and this is no exception. There was a spot where all three members of the Shield are outside the ring, and Braun Strowman's doing his thing where he's running and just barreling people over, and he goes for Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns cuts him off the pass, and they go through the barricade. It was a really cool spot. And the big spot of this match is there was a moment where Roman Reigns was going to hit somebody, they duck, and he accidentally hits Dean Ambrose. And so toward the end of the match, Dean Ambrose is just climbing up, and two members of the Shield are in the ring, and then Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman are on the outside apron, you know, like the Shield usually does, like they're about to attack, and then Dean Ambrose gets on the fourth side of the ring, and it's like, well, is Dean Ambrose going to turn on the Shield? Because it really looked like that for a second. Dean Ambrose, he runs into the ring, goes to the opposite side and kicks Braun Strowman off the apron. From there, madness ensues. Drew McIntyre tries to break something up. He gets a super kick. Dolph Ziggler super kicks Seth Rollins right after that outside of the ring. And then Dean Ambrose is left in the ring alone with Ziggler, hits him with dirty deeds, gets the win. And then the Shield stand tall. After that, you get Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. It was actually a really short match here. Miz went right away for the ribs after what Shelton Benjamin had done to him the week before. And he just worked Daniel Bryan for a few minutes. Daniel Bryan went for his knee and missed, and then Miz went into the corner and actually hit Daniel Bryan with his own finishing move, the knee. And Daniel Bryan kicks out, they get back up, Daniel Bryan hits Miz with a small package and wins, and it was very fast. And even the commentators kind of screwed up because at first they were saying The Miz won. Well, no, Daniel Bryan won. So we know that at Crown Jewel it's going to be Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles, and that just promises to be a hell of a match. Those two guys, I think, will tear the house down, honestly. And that brings us to the last match of the night, which was, of course, Triple H with Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker with Kane. And they make the match no DQ, which I think did a lot for storyline. Now, this was a long match. Long entrances. You probably had like 10 minutes worth of entrances and over 30 minutes worth of match, maybe 40 minutes worth of match. And, you know, for these guys to be like 50 and plus and pulling these matches, I mean, at 30, 40 minutes long, I mean, you could see The Undertaker was sucking wind, and, you know, it was hard. Alright, but, it was very cool. There was the nostalgia thing there, and, they did a lot with storytelling and building up what they were, you know, trying to work towards in the match. And I thought it was very cool, and there was a lot of really cool moments both ways. You know, Undertaker kicking out of the pedigree and Triple H kicking out of the tombstone. So it was very good. It was a very well constructed match. At the end, Triple H and Shawn Michaels kind of double team the Undertaker. He takes the Sweet Chin Music, he takes the pedigree. Triple H gets the win. Then they all four kind of stand in the ring, you know, kind of saying goodbye. And it was really weird because at this point, like right after Triple H won and to where they were all four standing in the ring, it looked like Triple H, like, you know, Paul Levesque was actually getting a little bit emotional about something. Like he was really fighting back tears there, and I don't know what that was all about. But whatever the case, you finish with Kane and The Undertaker actually turn on Triple H and Shawn Michaels. The choke slam, both of them, Triple H takes the tombstone, and then Kane and The Undertaker go after Shawn Michaels. They throw him out of the ring and they choke slam him onto a table. And that's where they leave off the pay-per-view. I thought it was honestly very good in a lot of ways. They started and finished with, you know, a lot of fireworks. Okay, we like the spectacle. Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch was really good. Kevin Owens, Elias, Bobby Lashley, John Cena had a little bit of comedy toward the end there. wasn't much to speak of, honestly. AJ Styles, Samoa Joe was really good. I think the Riot Squad, Bella Twins, Ronda Rousey match had some really good high points to it, honestly. Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander was really good. The Shield versus McIntyre, Ziggler, Strowman, I thought was good. I wish Daniel Bryan had more time in there, but, I mean, he got fed in between two big matches. But they did give him the win, the clean win. I really liked that. And then the last match I thought was good, so I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, I think. I think it deserves an 8 out of 10, honestly. Like, there was a couple of things I didn't like about it, like the Iconics. I'm not going to complain too much. I think they could have started a little bit stronger. But again, I'm not going to complain about it. Overall, it was a very good pay-per-view. I really liked the storyline that they were building. And it looks like they're still building with something with Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Kane. So yeah, I had a lot of fun, man. I enjoyed myself watching it. So if you've seen it yet, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Especially let me know what you think about the last match and what they're building towards. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. If you enjoyed this review, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz. Kaged Nation out.